occurring and minor flooding is forecast. Recent activity, the maximum river stage in the 24 hours ending at 7:15 p.m. on Wednesday was 15.4 feet. Forecast, the river is expected to rise to a crest of 15.6 feet early tomorrow afternoon. It will then fall below flood stage late Friday morning. Impact, at 15.0 feet, flooding begins along the News River Walk. Water nears the base of the holding tank at the water treatment plant. Flood history. This crest compares to a previous crest of 15.0 feet on October 13, 2018. Here is the latest weather synopsis. A coastal front will fill in today, but it will be overtaken by another backdoor cold front that will arrive from the north.
What are you doing to the fucking moon?
These features will combine with the upper level trough approaching from the west by Friday and Saturday to bring a prolonged period of wet and unsettled weather for our region.
Fucking hell, what's that?
Here is the latest National Weather Service forecast for Raleigh and vicinity.
But just keep doing the exact same thing over and over. I keep getting different results. So I'm not crazy. You
not as cool. Near steady temperature in the mid-40s. Southwest winds around 5 miles.
Thank you. Oh, my God.
Morning. Cloudy with a 50% chance of rain.
I didn't start the video instantaneously. So I was trying to hit the last 5 minutes of the news report.
Thursday night, rain. Patchy fog after midnight. Lows in the mid-40s. Northeast winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Showers likely, mainly in the evening. Areas.
There's no extra cost, and you get not one, but 2 cards in each package. So shake a leg. Hurry to your grocer for Quaker Puffed Wheat and Quaker Puffed Rice.
Shot from guns. Like Winchester.
These radio dramas, a feature of the Challenge of the Yukon Incorporated, are created and produced by Jordan Utrendo, directed by Fred Flowerday, and supervised by Charles D. Livingston. The part of Sergeant Preston is played by Paul Sutton. They are brought to you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at the same time by Quaker Puffed Wheat and Quaker Puffed Rice, the breakfast cereal shot from guns. Listen Friday when Sergeant Preston and Yukon King meet the challenge of the Yukon in the case of the hard-hearted hermit.
I knew that Amos Benbow was not as hard-hearted as he pretended to be, so I thought it'd be all right to leave his granddaughter with him. I thought she'd be safe. I didn't suspect that bank robbers would choose his home as a hideout. That was when the trouble began.
Be sure to hear this exciting adventure Friday.
To that bell. What's going on? You better not switch to our lady and our Miss Brooks or something.
This is J. Michael wishing you goodbye, good luck, and good health from Quaker Puffed Wheat.
You're listening to Chin Radio AM 1540, the voice of multicultural Toronto, bringing you the latest updates on COVID-19. Stay informed, stay safe, and stay tuned to Chin Radio AM 1540.
Bookmarks. I don't forget I have. The long things are posted.
Gunsmoke.
Winchester.
Brought to you by L&M Filters.
Yeah. The gas and
L&M is best.
I don't see the packs on the ground.
All the rest.
They're the worst. The ones they sell today are the worst. I don't know if they sell directly.
Around Dodge City and in the territory on West, there's just one way to handle the killers and the spoilers, and that's with a U.S. Marshal and the smell of gun smoke.
Wow. What else is there?
The government on Wednesday accepted the recommendations of the Medicines and Healthcare Product Regulatory Agency to grant emergency authorization. MHRA Chief Executive Dr. June Rain says the corners were cut in recommending the approval of that vaccine for use.
Our National Institute for Biological Standards and Control has been undertaking the independent laboratory testing so that we can make sure that every single batch meets the same standards of safety and quality. And the first batch of COVID-19 vaccine AstraZeneca was released last night following yesterday's vaccine approval.
The British regulator says one dose of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine is around 70% effective after 21 days and before the second dose is given. The effectiveness is up to 80% when there's a 3-month interval between the first and second doses. Dr. Wei Shen Lim is with the Joint Committee on Vaccination and
You've been studying it that long?
The data shared with us, and I'm not sure it's entirely in the public domain, calculated the vaccine efficacy between day 22 of dose 1 to the time of dose 2 being given. And the figure is around 70%.
UK government's ordered 100 million doses of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine. It'll start to be administered on Monday, starting with the most at-risk groups. The decision comes as the country battles a major winter surge and infections driven by a new, highly contagious coronavirus variant. AstraZeneca and other developers have said they're studying the impacts of the new variant. They expect that their shots will be effective against it.
The Chinese government is paying a lot
British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has signed the post-Brexit trade deal with the European Union.
Sure, thank you very much.
I want Prime Minister of Canada.
The treaty that I've just signed is
I love your username. I love it because I got bad
a new beginning, and I think the beginning of what will be a wonderful relationship between the UK and our friends and partners in the European Union.
The trade deal announced a week ago sets up the terms of Britain's new relationship with the EU, following that divorce deal earlier this year. It'll come into effect tomorrow, replacing a transitional arrangement during which EU rules continued to apply to Britain.
Then what the fuck's the difference?
People were killed and dozens wounded in an attack on Aden Airport in southern Yemen on Wednesday. An official statement says the explosions targeted local officials and employees gathered to welcome government members at the airport. The attack took place just minutes after the arrival of a new power-sharing government from Saudi Arabia. Yemeni Prime Minister Ma'in Abdul Malik says the attacks underscore the difficulties facing the government to unite two of its allies in the war against the Houthi movement.
The hands of terrorism will not stop us from continuing to unite the national front in order to face this terrorism until we emerge victorious in this battle, and we will not accept anything but victory. May the injured heal, and may there be mercy for the martyrs.
There's no immediate claim of responsibility. The Saudi-led coalition said it downed an explosive-laden Houthi drone that was targeting the presidential palace. They've denied responsibility for the airport attack. This is Shane Bigham live from the Chinese capital. Coming up in business, several Chinese internet giants have been punished for irregular pricing.
You're listening to the Beijing Hour, 60 minutes of comprehensive news, your window on China and the world.
37 minutes past the hour now. Turning to business, China's market regulators fined JD.com, Alibaba's Tmall, and Tencent-backed VIP Shop 500,000 yuan each, roughly $77,000 for irregular pricing. The retail giants have been blamed for pricing strategies related to the Double 11 shopping spree, such as increasing prices prior to offering discounts, false promotion, and inducing transactions. China's taking steps to prevent monopolistic behaviors by internet firms. Earlier this month, the State Administration of Market Regulation announced fines on Alibaba, China Literature, and Shenzhen Hive Box for not reporting deals subject to antitrust reviews. A report from the EY Consulting Agency says that the amount of funds raised by China's A-share initial public offerings throughout 2020 hit a 10-year high. The number of A-share IPOs this year increased by 90% to nearly 390, with over 460 billion yuan, or roughly $70 billion raised, and that's up more than 80% year on year. In terms of industries, the funds raised by companies specializing in key technologies, including semiconductors, biomedicine, and software, account for nearly a third of the total amount. In terms of individual stocks, among the new companies listed this year, Semiconductor Manufacturing International Corporation ranked first in terms of funds raised, with nearly 53 billion yuan, or $8 billion in total. With more on this, we're joined by market analyst Zhao Can. So what do you make of the surge in IPOs on the A-share market during a year that's been ravaged by the COVID-19 pandemic?
Well, it shows that the Chinese capital market is booming, and investors are optimistic about the growth prospects of these companies and are willing to pay a fair valuation. And that's why companies want to capitalize on this opportunity to issue their shares and raise the capital.
Many tech firms that listed on the market this year emerged as outstanding performers. So what were the major drivers behind this?
Well, the Internet Plus idea is widely lauded, and I think investors are willing to give a very high valuation to tech companies and to support national development in the reliance of technology, and also they feel that there great profit opportunities in its upcoming tech companies.
As a tumultuous year wraps up, we've seen some mixed hopes for the outlook of the stock market in the new year. What can investors expect in 2021 in your opinion?
I think it remains to be seen. I think the market can be quite volatile, and nobody predicted COVID-19 in 2020. So what happens in 2021 remains to be seen. But given the fact that the pandemic has been very well contained in China, and everything is gradually back to normal, I think 2021 would be a much better year than 2020, and that should be reflected in the stock market.
Thank you very much for joining us this morning. That's market analyst Cao San sharing his insights in the surge in IPOs of Chinese companies over the year 2020. It's 44 past the hour. The National Bureau of Statistics has revised China's GDP for 2019 to 6% growth. The number represents a cut of 0.1% from the 0.1 percentage points from the preliminary calculation. The new offshore duty-free stores have opened on the island of Hainan to promote tax-free shopping and tourism. The Provincial Department of Commerce said sales at offshore duty-free shops exceeded 31 billion yuan, or roughly $4.8 billion so far this year. The J Hotel in Shanghai has launched a trial operation period. It's the world's tallest hotel. Jinjiang International is operating the ultra-luxury hotel in Shanghai Tower, China's tallest building, located in the Lujiazui financial hub. Lu Haiyan is chairman of the Jinjiang Luxury Hotel Management Company. The senior executive says they're trying to distinguish themselves in the luxury hotel sector by offering novel experiences to customers.
When I began in this business, the first thought that occurred to me was that I had to differentiate this hotel from others. We hope it can be a world-class hotel with distinct local cultural characteristics.
Jinjiang International Corporation, which owns 7 luxury hotel brands, is currently the second largest hotel group in the world.
7
New regulations passed in Shanghai call on public service providers to be mindful of seniors as the city embraces digital technologies. The regulation on elderly services stipulates that public service providers, including government departments and companies, should promote smart information services that meet the needs of seniors. The regulation will come into effect on March 20th. The move is part of efforts from the megacity for dealing with its aging population. Official figures show that the number of residents aged 60 and above increased by nearly 150,000 over the past over a year. By the end of 2019 to 5.2 million, accounting for 35% of the total registered population in the city. The digital divide facing China's elderly population is raising public concerns as digital technologies have enabled banks, hospitals, and public transport systems to move more services online, especially in the post-coronavirus era, to reduce contact. Samsung Vice Chairman Lee Jae-yong appeared at Seoul Central District Court for the final hearing of his bribery trial. Lee was sentenced to 5 years in prison in 2017 for offering 8.6 billion won, or $7 million in bribes, to former South Korean President Park Geun-hye and one of her longtime confidants, while seeking government support for a 2015 merger. The bribery scandal ignited massive street protests and toppled the presidency of Park, who was formally removed from office in March of 17 and is serving a decades-long prison term now. Lee was freed in early 2018 after an appellate court reduced his term and suspended the sentence. Months later, however, prosecutors indicted him again on similar charges, setting up yet another protracted legal battle. You're listening to the Beijing Hour. Coming up in sports, the latest results and news from European football.
And that's going to be on
Beijing Hour.
Hello, I'm Peter Dinklage from X-Men Days of Future Past. You are listening to the Beijing Hour.
Hi, I'm Kathy Freeman, and you're listening.
This kind of pressure is always there. Not only single people are facing it, but married couples. For years, they haven't got a kid. It's always an issue in the big family.
Yes, and I guess that's why some of the singles who would say, well, this year perhaps I am not going back home for family reunion parties, which can be a good thing because I won't be bothered by this sort of questions and, nosy relatives. So I totally understand them. I think with the state of single or with the state of married, you will find advantages and disadvantages associated with that sort of lifestyle.
Widow, but so it never goes back to single.
Just
I want to be a basketball coach. It shouldn't matter that I'm a woman, and it shouldn't matter which league I desire to pursue. And the breaking of glass ceilings, the breaking of 4-minute miles, right? Symbolically, it means an awful lot when people decide to go for things that they know can be done.
Is she going to be an NBA coach, head coach one day? Is she going to take over a team proper on her own? Maybe even the Spurs?
I don't like to bet, but I'd put money on it.
Nice.
This is BBC World Service.
I think there are a few things that would surprise me more than to jump forward 40 years from now and her retire from coaching.
Yes, we have to follow this. I'm not in the right position to decide if we have to play or not. I think that the fact that football in this moment play is good for the people.
Meanwhile, a new government decision has put all sports events in England back behind closed doors until the restrictions were tightened. Some Premier League clubs, including Everton and Liverpool, had been able to admit supporters. Cristiano Ronaldo indicated in a recent interview that he has no plans to bring down the curtain on his football career in the near future. Ronaldo will turn 36 in February, but even to star says he's currently in a positive place both physically and mentally.
If you feel motivated, doesn't matter. Cristiano now is good.
I never consider whoever could win a fight. Let's fight. Whoever wins the fight, that's the bigger. I never thought that way.
Good. I feel happy.
I'm 130 some odd pounds.
Still good, sharp,
and
What
the fuck's looking at me? Go, I could beat his ass. And
I hope.
How weak are you?
The 5-time Ballon d'Or winner is currently the top goal scorer in Serie A this season, although his Juventus is only 6th on the table. Ronaldo also says his next dream is to win the FIFA World Cup with Portugal at the 2022 finals. The event in Qatar will almost certainly be Ronaldo's last opportunity to lift the historic silverware. In the CBA, Xinjiang extended its winning streak to 6 games after edging past Sichuan 103-98 on Wednesday. 5 Xinjiang players put double-digit figures on the scoreboard, led by Zhou Qi's 28. Xinjiang led by double digits twice in the second half, but suffered scares in the last quarter with Sichuan's attacking abilities. Marcus George's hand scored 4 straight points to help Sichuan shrink the gap to 3 points with 22 seconds remaining. Xinjiang only survived with Yu Dehao's 2 free throws. Head coach Andy Jiang says the game exposed many problems the team has.
It's a tough game. The score was close throughout the match. The opponents changed their defense strategy, making our offense hard to adapt to. Sichuan players were very relaxed. Our players were not clear about how to guard them. We need to improve our performances in both ends through a game like this.
Meanwhile, Guangdong took a late charge and shrugged off Beikong 127-96. Trailing by 5 points in the first quarter, Guangdong started to find rhythm from the second quarter, putting a 31-20 run and controlling the game from there. Marshawn Brooks put the game-high 26 points for Guangdong. Elsewhere, the Zhejiang Lions snapped their 6-game losing streak with a 130-102 victory over Fujian. Shanghai smashed Nanjing 110-83. In the NBA, LeBron James will celebrate his 36th birthday today by playing the game he loves, leading the Los Angeles Lakers against the San Antonio Spurs.
Coming from where I come from, a lot of people don't even make it, past 21. For me to be rounding the base at 36, playing the game that I love to play and being with a great team and a great organization.
Congo's got 100 million people plus, average age 18. South Africa has 60 million, average age 15.
James' birthday will cap off a remarkable year for him, his 18th season in the league, and just weeks after winning his 4th championship reign.
Where he's from? Where the
the Hainan provincial team was the biggest winner at this year's China National Surfing Championship, which concluded in Wanning on Wednesday. Team Hainan's Qiu Zhuo and Deng Xueying won gold medals in the men's and women's short boards, the official Olympic events. Hainan also bagged 7 more titles, including the longboards competition. Over 400 top surfers took part in the 9-day tournament.
Thank you very much for the sports update. You're listening to the Beijing Hour. Coming up in culture and entertainment, martial arts degrees offered by a university.
Trending in China. China Plus News Facebook page helps you to discover the real China. From the latest news to quirky Chinese inventions, videos, photos, live streaming, and more. Join in the conversation today by searching for China Plus News on Facebook and discover its news, its people, its traditions and culture. China Plus News Facebook page. Open your eyes to the real China.
It's 53 past the hour now. Turning to culture and entertainment. Contemporary artworks are on display at an exhibition about the Yungang Grottos. The pieces can be seen at the Powerbomb Museum in Shanghai. And Zheng Hong has more.
This is Zhou's house empty painting and calligraphy. Zhou wrote a quote from the sutra, "Form is emptiness, emptiness is form" on the paper. He then rewrote it over and over with a brush dipped in clean water until the words disappeared.
色与空是禅宗一个非常 Form and emptiness are two important concepts in Zen Buddhism. Form refers to everything we see in the world. Emptiness is the things we can't see. Zen attitudes are usually depicted with painting or calligraphy, but they only represent the idea of form. I wanted to create art to present emptiness. On this seemingly empty paper, form and emptiness are integrated into non-duality.
非无的这样一种状态。Ren Zhitian's question number 1 comprises an array of stones. Ren picked up a small one from his garden and replicated it in various sizes. The smallest stone represents the real world, while the larger ones are symbols of an increasingly larger world of language.
我一直在关心一个问题，就是说我们到底是怎么在思考和认
The question I've been pondering is, how do we perceive the world? It's actually the theme of all my artwork.
How does the world perceive you?
I think we are now immersed in the world of language, which becomes larger as we start to learn and try to describe it. The real world, however, is often neglected as we pay too much attention to rhetoric.
也更为是庞大的呈现在我们的这个生活中。
Installations from 12 artists, all combining a meditative experience with their creativity, are presented at Powerlong Museum. They are part of the Yungang Grottos exhibition, as the curator believes they explore new ways to illustrate Buddhism in a modern context.
That was Zheng Hong reporting on Buddhism-themed contemporary artworks on display in Shanghai. Chinese cultural luminaries Fu Song and Shirley Young passed away recently. Julian Wogan has the story.
The Austrian music channel reports that Fu Song passed away on Monday in Britain. He died of a COVID-19 infection at the age of 86. Born in Shanghai, Fu was the son of the well-known scholar and translator Fu Lei. Since settling in England in 1958, he had performed around the world, widely acclaimed as a piano poet. Separately, Chinese-American Shirley Young died last Saturday in New York City at the age of 85. Also born in Shanghai, Young moved to the U.S. in 1945 and served as vice president of General Motors. She later founded the Committee of 100 Cultural Institute along with cellist Yo-Yo Ma and the architect Yo Ming-pei. She played a prominent role in cultural exchanges between China and the United States.
That was Julian Wagon reporting on the death of 2 Chinese cultural luminaries. 56 past the hour. Universities from China and the United States have staged a virtual exhibition on fiber art offering a glimpse into what happens when traditional art incorporates high-tech materials. The online event, organized by Tsinghua University and the University of the Arts Philadelphia, featured various approaches and different materials to explore themes via fiber art. New materials such as optical fiber, chemical fiber, and memory alloy were used in the works presented. The participating artists combined and expanded traditional techniques of weaving, knotting, and coiling with cutting-edge technologies. More than half of the artworks on display explored new technologies, including digital and information technology. Shaolin Temple in Henan Province has signed an agreement with Henan University to offer martial arts courses for bachelor's, master's, and doctorate degrees for international students. According to the agreement, students from around the world can enroll and major in Kung Fu. Through the cooperation, Kung Fu lovers from more countries can learn and help promote traditional Chinese culture. Last year, the university founded the Wushu College, the only martial arts college established by a comprehensive university in China so far. It's at 58 past the hour now, so checking the forecast before we go. Beijing's getting sunny conditions and 0 for a high. It'll be dipping down to minus 13 as we go into the new year. Chongqing's overcast and 7, a low 4. Lhasa sunny and 10, the lows minus 7. Hong Kong's cloudy and 14, then it's down to 5. And that's it for this edition of the Beijing Hour. Making news this morning, China and the European Union have completed negotiations on a bilateral investment agreement. Sinopharm has applied for approval of its COVID-19 vaccine for use in China. On behalf of the staff, this is Shane Bingham in the Chinese capital, hoping you join us for the next edition of the Beijing Hour and open a window of the world together.
Now it means this, I guess. So parvovirus B19 is the only one that matters.
我要学汉语. I want to learn Chinese.
其实并不难. It can be fun.
You mean the LA virus? I don't have a copy of that mix CD, unfortunately. That was the year 2000. Not even joking.
Perfect Chinese your way in only 5 minutes a day. Welcome.
I can't. Actually, what time?
Stations or airports, perhaps you need to present your green code for traveling. Yeah. So these are the kind of preparations on personal level. And for those railway stations and transportation hubs, they also need to put in place very specific measures in preventing
every radio broadcaster in the world found out that there were no alternative people to put on the air that weren't sick.
I guess these are, very, very important work during this specific period of time when a lot of the people
and I have this, I'm calling it COVID-20.
Perhaps there should be contactless ticket sales, and perhaps there need to be contactless security check measures. Maybe these are all the necessary steps taken by those travel or by those transportation authorities so that people will have a safe and happy festival period.
Yeah, and also social distancing is also still very important. And always keep in mind when you are in an airport or train station, it's really difficult sometimes to keep a distance away from each other. I guess there will be some implementation concerning this. The managers or the workers at the train stations, they would probably reminding people to keep like 1 meter or 2 meters away from each other when they line up waiting to get on board. So these are all very small tips for every one of us to keep in mind.
That's right. And I'm afraid that's all the time we have for today's show from the entire Studio Plus team. We'd like to thank you for staying with us and making us part of your day.
Indeed, and now taking us out of today's show is from the Blank Tapes, Thinking About You. I'm Liu Min.
I'm Li Yingjing. Bye-bye. Bye.
Is this Western? I don't want to deal with it if it's Western.
鸡蛋。
西红柿炒鸡。
So this is KCRW News 24 channel.
People outside still think that we are still undeveloped and poor, which is maybe true. But all I can say is that most people supported me because they wanted a change in the availability of internet in rural places around Malaysia.
Well done, Vivian. What a great story to end 2020. I look forward to seeing you up a tree very soon, Jay.
Have to wait till well beyond 2021 for that, I think.
Probably. You'd be able to do it. Would you climb in a tree?
Yeah, MH380. Right. Okay.
And now our star, William Conrad.
Thank you, George. Mild and plenty quick on the draw. That's L&M for you. And the pure white miracle tip on the business end of every L&M fills up everything but the taste of the world's finest.
The problem is, it's the same
All you have
color
to
as
do
the
is pick up a carton of L&M's and you'll see what I mean. L&M stands out from all the rest.
All the... Who'd you vote for? A guy named Trump. These guys were all Trump working. We heard that on one of the shows the other day. Myanmar. Wrong.
Gunsmoke, produced and directed by Norman MacDonald, stars William Conrad as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal. Our story was for Gunsmoke by John Messman. Music composed and conducted by
So since I have B19,
sound patterns by Tom
I'm considered to be immunocompromised.
Featured in the cast were John Daner and
But
Lawrence
I beat 2 coronaviruses in November
Howard McNair is Doc,
2019.
and Georgia Ellis is
This means last year. Black people do it, last November.
Start smoking with a smile, with Chesterfield, smiling all the while, with Chesterfield.
This is the type of shit they used to use to get people started.
Just give them a try.
But the government wants to pretend they're good people in this mess.
They satisfy.
Their solution
Put a
was to
smile
sue
in your
people.
smoking.
Have you seen the people that make the cigarettes? Guess who pays for that?
So smooth.
The people addicted to the
So
cigarettes.
satisfying.
Where do they take and put the money?
Chesterfield.
Oh, it's supposed to be for health care. Blah,
You'll
blah,
also
blah.
enjoy
It goes to
Chesterfield's
federal
great
revenue.
radio show.
They want
Harry
$1
Como
billion
sings all the top tunes on CBS Radio every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Jack Webb stars in Dragnet on Tuesday nights. Check your local listings. Listen to Gunsmoke again next week, transcribed for L&M Filter.
You're listening to Chin Radio AM 1540, the voice of multicultural Toronto, bringing you the latest updates on COVID-19. Stay informed, stay safe, and stay tuned to Chin Radio AM 1540.
St. Martin.
The Jell-O program starring Jack Benny with Mary Livingston, Phil Harris, Dennis Day, and yours truly, Don Wilson. The orchestra opens the program with I Hear Bluebird.
Well, we're going to switch that up because I can't stand it. What was I looking for?
On Tuesday since the pandemic began, with over 3,700 deaths associated with virus reported. An updated forecast has projected close to 570,000 COVID-19 deaths in the U.S. by April the 1st, based on current scenarios.
South America South, South America North.
China and the European Union have announced the completion of their negotiations over a bilateral investment agreement. The announcement was made during a meeting between President Xi Jinping and European leaders via video link. The Chinese president called the agreement balanced and high standard, expecting it to provide greater market access, higher level business environment, and stronger institutional guarantees for mutual investment. He says the treaty will greatly boost the global recovery in the post-pandemic era and enhance the confidence in economic globalization and free trade. The European leaders called the completion of the negotiations a milestone in the development of EU-China relations, calling for greater cooperation between the two sides on issues such as sustainable development and WTO reform.
All the way up to Russia.
The Purchasing Managers Index for China's manufacturing sector came in at 51.9 in September. The figure edged down 0.8 points from last month, but still remains in expansion territory. Meanwhile, the index for the non-manufacturing sector stood at 55.7, down from 56.4 in November.
That can't be right.
China's market regulator has fined JD.com, Alibaba's Tmall, and Tencent-backed V-Shop 500,000 yuan each, roughly $77,000 for irregular pricing. The retail giants have been blamed for pricing strategies related to the Double 11 shopping spree, such as increasing prices prior to offering discounts, forced promotion, and inducing transactions.
That's like
China is taking steps to prevent monopolistic behavior by internet firms. Earlier this month, the State Administration of Market Regulation announced fines on Alibaba, China Literature, and Shenzhen Hive Box for not reporting deals subject to antitrust reviews. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has signed the post-Brexit trade deal with the European Union. The trade deal announced a week ago sets out the terms of Britain's new relationship with the EU following their divorce earlier this year. It will come into effect tomorrow, replacing a transitional arrangement during which EU rules continue to...
Yeah, so...